I'm just gonna be having a role play with you, and your main goal is to set me up for a call with Kyle. Like I've told you, I'm gonna be as blunt as possible, so do your best, bro. This is just
Yeah,
for you
man.
to have a recording so you can review it, and if you don't mind, I'm just gonna post it on YouTube as well.
Sure, bro.
So, your call to action is ready. DM me ready if you're next. Once we finish this conversation, we're just gonna quickly go and review it. It shouldn't take more than half an hour or so. Okay, imagine now I booked the call. So I'm gonna share my screen now, and
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna go through it all. I wrote some notes down, and let me know if you can wait a sec. See my screen. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, would you mind just me pointing out some stuff that I maybe could have done myself? So you can see what
Yes, you can.
is there.
And I mean, you can do it as we're going through this. Okay, perfect. So, the standard procedure. Hey, Chris, appreciate you reaching out. We're based on what you do currently for work. That's good. I'm a student working part-time in supermarket. Okay, all right, bro. How do you like it working there? Very good question. Just diving into it a lot deeper, than it is, so I can admit some things to myself firstly, and then so you can realize some things as well. Okay, man, I see.
Mm-hmm.
So what got you looking into reaching out, making some changes? So can you see my notes as well?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, this is what I wanted to point out. So, what's got you looking into reaching out, making some changes? I feel this is an assumption because even though this is a role play right now, obviously, there are a bunch of leads
Mm-hmm.
who might not want to directly make a change. The chance is that they just want to hear more about remote closing, about appointment setting. Like I've said later down the line in the convo, I just wanted to hear some advice. You see, I mean,
Yeah.
you'll see it
I
here.
actually said that. Yeah, I actually said I think like what's got you looking into making some changes and getting into remote closing. And I usually say that even though Kyle doesn't even say remote closing on the ad, and nobody ever questions it, like it doesn't really happen. So,
Okay,
but
I
I changed
see.
it just
I
because
see. I
like a
didn't
lot of
know
leaders
I
are
didn't
looking
know
into it.
that, but like I've told you yesterday, once you are able to handle these a lot harder leads, all these normal
Mm-hmm.
ones will be a piece of cake. And what got you
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
to
yeah.
reaching out, making some changes? Once again, I wouldn't ask that because it's just kind of assuming. Obviously, there's no harm in doing so, but you would rather ask some question to dive into something a lot deeper. For example, that's how I'm paying my student bills. You can ask, I don't know, how come you didn't find another higher paying job? Anything along those lines. That's just on the top of my head, something that came to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the point is to dive deeper and not assuming anything. But let's continue. To be honest, man, I just want more
Sure.
money. Got it, bro. We all do. I like this one. Very light-hearted and, very friendly. What's your reason for it, though? Very good question. Also, like literally what I told you right now, a second ago. What's your reason for it though? Diving into it a lot deeper, diving into certain things. Since my college is expensive, I'd like to pay for it a lot easier than I currently can. Um, what's your reason for it though? Is a good question, but instead I would ask why you feel that can help you. You see, it's still diving a lot deeper, but you always want to put it into feelings based thinking. Feeling emotions. You
Mm-hmm.
want to awaken my emotions, right? You want to awake my emotions. And like I've said here, from there's a big chance that the prospect will briefly mention something they want, a goal or a desire. For example, to be honest, man, I just want more money. Why you feel that can help you? More money. And then I will say, like I've said, something. It will help me pay for it a lot easier than I currently can. And the reason I've said this is just so you can have an idea on what's usual thing that the prospects would say. They will start
Mm-hmm.
briefly talking about what they're currently trying to what's their current goal, what's something that they're currently trying to get to, and then from there you can just expand on that and either leverage that future pleasure, or like standard thing, just leverage or amplify the pain on why they didn't like make that happen already. But once again, let's continue. All right, makes sense, bro. Have you ever tried something before to be able to pay it a lot easier than how you currently pay for it? Here's the thing. No, never. The reason I respond to it is because I understand the question. But take a look at this, and I hope you'll agree with me on this one. First of all, I love how you reinstated what I told you. Very good thing, like paying my bills, I'm a student, college a lot faster, blah, blah, blah. However, I feel it could be a lot simpler because, for example, for a person that's not that fluent in English, I feel it might sound complicated. Just listen to this. All right, makes sense, bro. Have you ever tried something before to be able to pay it a lot easier than how you currently pay for it? There are too many, I don't know. It's just kind of too complicated for someone who is not an English speaking that well in English speaking, right? And instead, I would just make it a lot simpler. Just curious how much you'd need to be making, to feel comfortable with your student bills. That's it, Any questions so far? Anything
So
you
just
wanted to point out?
simplify the words a little bit.
What'd you say?
So I should just simplify my sentences a little bit.
Yes, when it comes to B2B, this is great. Because I think something like this is what Jeremy Lee Minor is using. Like all these completely new terms in this sales vocabulary, But in this one where everything is more complicated, not more complicated, but where everything is just more lighthearted, in B2C you obviously just need to, I would say, make your, that video I showed you about tone and informality. You need to match your prospects. You see, if I'm Croatian guy, I mean, it's obvious that I know English, but maybe I'm not that fluent. I'm not like that great at speaking English, so I can understand this without any problems. You feel me? I don't know how
Got
the
it. So I
situation
gotta come
is in Sweden. Yeah,
I gotta come up as a lot more professional when doing B2B than
yeah,
obviously I gotta come up
more
just
light-hearted with B2C. Exactly that. Because we're just
B2B maybe
we're literally just consumers. We are regular people, And like I've told you before, maybe I don't know what remote closing is, and for the people that are not familiar with sales industry, this is just kind of overwhelming for them. You want to make it as simple as possible so they can actually understand and relate to you. You see?
Okay.
I can imagine it's tough working at supermarket. Just working in a supermarket part-time, and that's the first job I've ever applied for. This is a reply to this question. Have you ever tried something before to be able? That's the answer. Yeah, all right. Why do you feel you haven't taken that step of making money through an easier way before then? Yeah, I just wanted to point out. Wait a sec, where is it? Okay, all right. Why do you feel you haven't taken the step of making money through an easier way before then? I mean, this is easy. I just have to be a cashier. Literally just sitting behind the desk and doing what cashier is doing. Got it. I was just asking, since you said that you wanted to pay for your student bills a lot easier, what about that specifically made you reach out? Is that correct?
I said, like, what about specifically me made you reach
out? Okay, yeah. I see you living a good life and thought to hear some advices. Lots of guys out here teach some different side hustles, okay? Well, just so I kind of know what it is you're looking for, how much would you need to be making from a side hustle in order to make it work for you? And I don't know what you think how much I can make. Okay, it's not there yet. I have a bunch of notes and I'm kind of getting lost in all of them. Wait a second. You could make how much you'd want to, depending on your effort, bro. Instead of this, I would potentially mention that this is a fully performance-based side hustle. Because since I'm not that familiar with it, I think that the fact that you're saying it's a performance-based side hustle would kind of explain it slightly more to me, So instead of this, I would say, oh, this is a performance-based side hustle, bro, meaning that whatever you put, that's what you'll get out, Input equals output, something like that.
Yeah.
I was just wondering how much you'd need to make for it to be something you'd want to do in order to pay for your student bill a lot faster. Do you have any number in mind? Well, Croatian salaries are low, so anything above that is good. Let's say 800 a month. Just some
Yeah.
crazy number, you
I
know?
think I would have said that before if I actually talked about remote closing, because we haven't deep down into the remote closing yet. So I just said like how much would you like that you could make, how much you'd want depending on your effort.
Okay, I understand. I see what you're talking about. I mean,
Okay.
you obviously you've done good because I started opening up, and now from here you can see that.
That one threw me off actually.
Okay, fairs.
Because
Okay,
it was
well,
so little.
yeah, exactly that. That's most
Everybody said
definitely
so much.
achievable, bro. You could be making so much more than that with an online side hustle like remote closing. And then I asked, what's remote closing? You see? I could explain about it in a second. Wait a sec. Okay, I will explain about it in a second. I'm curious to hear about your aspirations. Just get a college degree, and once I do, find a good paying job. Well, to answer your prior question, good one. You brought it back. I would say that's the only proper way you could actually answer that one, while also asking me about my goals. So I think you balanced on that one very, very well. You made me wonder though, what about a good paying job strikes your attention? Very good question. Honestly, very good question. Amazing question. I wrote down because I just needed to. Well, how else am I going to make more than I currently am making? And who will I be working for? I mean, how can I get myself in that position? You see, it's just something that I'm not familiar with. There's actually tons of ways, bro. What did it for me is remote closing. It's actually what got me out of my 9 to 5 and out here to Miami. Here, I like that you talked about yourself, and I'll break it down in few minutes once we get to the part where you mentioned your students. Oh, so that's that. Miami seems really cool. How is it living there? I'm asking questions like any normal person would, and here I wanted to say that you need to take back the control of the combo. You need to take the control back. I forgot to mention it. Mom is cool. There is success everywhere, and it really opens up on your mind on what truly is possible. By the way, amazing acknowledgement. I would say amazing answer to my question, just to actually make me as a prospect realize who is the person that I'm talking to. So you
Yeah.
from here you really seem like a down to earth dude, you know.
Actually, after you said $800 a month, then whatever I sent, I was just trying to make you realize that it's possible to make a lot more.
Then this did it amazingly, honestly. And now from here, are you asking because you'd want to be in the position of quitting your job and make money online? Because that's what remote closing truly does. Here, I pointed it out. I would just ask, first of all, I never said I wanted to quit. You see, I wanted to quit my job. I said actually that I wanted to work a better job, but rather just make some money to pay off college easier so I can ultimately work that higher paying job. Instead, I would just say, just curious, why are you asking, bro? For example, I mean, how can I get myself in that position? Just curious, why are you asking though? And then from there, I will say, oh, I'm asking because I want more money. I'm asking because I want to stop working in supermarket and I want to be doing XYZ, you see? And from there, you will just expand on that one, like I previously mentioned. And then I said, you mentioned something about side hustles. Doesn't that mean it's supposed to be done on the side of your main hustle? And you see here, that's the crazy part. It starts as a side hustle, you only need 2-3 hours a day, and it's possible to do whilst working at your job, but once the money is starting to pile up, it can become your main hustle and job. Okay, that's good, very good. Just pretty much acknowledging, and here kinda gets tricky. That's what has happened with many of my students. My guys are making 10K a month and whatnot. Okay. I think the situation here is too sensitive to mention your students, programs, or anything like that. Instead, I would say that's what happened to me. Open to hear more how, open to hear more how, or anything. You get the point. Because previously, you said here. Wait, no, not here. There's actually tons way. What did it for me is remote closing. You talked about yourself, you see,
Yeah.
and you talked about Miami, and you talked about how remote closing made it possible for you to get to get to the position where you're living in Miami and just chilling, you know. And here I would just do that. That's what happened to me. Open to hear more. And with bringing up these sensitive topics, you created a snowball effect of suspicion, and now you're trying to recover. And that's the process you're currently going down to. You're literally in the process of trying to recover me being a suspicious lead, you know. Then, what students, man? You see, I start being suspicious because I'm just not that opened up for you to be bringing such a sensitive topics, you know. I teach guys on how to become successful with this side hustle. What do you feel about people making those amount, or how do you feel about people making those amounts completely online? Just a small grammar or spelling mistake, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it would be good to make that, but I feel your help costs a lot. You see, this is something I'm sure you agree on this on this one with me. I'm sure that people will just naturally assume these kinds of things, especially because you are a G on your page. And
Yeah.
you see, this question is great, but this is that snowball effect I'm talking about. Now you're trying to recover, you know. I mean, you look rich and usually won't waste your time for free. Well, as you're probably already aware of, all professional trainings require investment. However, for the people we generally feel are a good fit, I never let price be an obstacle. At this point, this is exactly what I would say. But keep in mind that we don't want to be asking questions before actually kind of foreseeing the answer already, you know. That's what I told you yesterday, I think. Before you send this one, that's what has happened with many of my students. You can just think of it, okay, students, it's kind of tricky, you know. So instead, that's why I would exactly talk about you know, just about your current situation, or what is it that you went through, because once again, it's B2C, you know. Okay, and how much is that? Obviously, suspicions are raised. Well, bro, the program is structured to help each individual with their unique needs. With that being said, the details as such genuinely depend on what you're looking for and what you'd find being most suitable for yourself. Very good one. Very, very good one. But you now knowing that there's a possibility of making way more than that, would you at least feel you'd be able to make that too? Yes, I feel I'm ready to grind now when you said this. Now I started opening up a bit more. This one is very good. You complimented me like very, very suitably for this kind of situation. Not bad goal at all. You also, you see how there, once again, you talked about yourself. None other but yourself. And that's what needs to be changed in this specific conversation. Okay, what do you feel like you need in order to get to that point right now? Wait a sec. Okay, here. At this part, I would just send a VSL. I would just send a VSL to do the rest of the job, because I'm struggling with comprehending what remote closing is. And I think VSL...
I actually thought about it, but I thought it was like off charts. So
no, it isn't. That's a specific case we talked about a few days ago on a call, you know.
Yeah.
And what would I do for you? Okay, good one. Let me just point it out. Are you asking this because, okay, here, are you asking this because you feel this is something you'd want to pursue instead of only working as a cashier to pay off your college debt? This question right here is the same like this one. Are you asking because blah, 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 you know? Instead, because I could propose something for you, if that's the case, would you be open for that? Very simple. And only after I give you a permission to explain details to me, that's when you can start asking these sensitive questions, because I literally gave you a permission, you know. And these two things actually, is something that I would replace with just a simple, because I could propose something for you, if that's the case, would you be open for that? You see, a lot of my clients come in initially with a real similar situation. They wanted to pay off their college debts. Instead of that, I would say, you see, a lot of people come to me with a really similar situation. They wanted to pay. You see, clients is also sensitive. The same with students.
That's
Okay.
also part of the script. I could maybe change that.
Yeah, I mean, the script is there to just for you to have an idea on how to approach. And you obviously need to always structure your approach based on each and every single one of your prospects, you know.
Yeah.
And then you sent me a link. Why I need to know that though about the investment. And here, it's just a question in order for me to know whether you'd be willing and capable of investing into something like this in order to provide for your future. I feel you're justifying yourself too much. Instead, I would just simply say it's just a question so I see what you're looking for and what you'd find being most suitable for you. Because that's literally something similar to what you already told me earlier. But once again, just slightly changed up so it makes sense.
Okay.
And pretty much that's it. Rejoin, please. I'm gonna send you another link. So just to finish it off, where I said it's just a question so I see what you're looking for and what you'd find being most suitable for you. The thing is, like I said, that's something that you already told me before, and I would just kind of paraphrase it so it makes sense for this specific point in the convo. And you said the word investment means pay for something to give you back your money times two, essentially. So I'm glad you're aware of that and that you could consider it if the investment is good. I got tons of guys enrolled on remote closing, and I'm fortunate enough to say that none of my guys have started and not seen the results. Okay, this is obviously like the ultimate step of you trying to recover from that mistake that you've done at that point where you mentioned your students, which was here. And I think that from this part right here, everything was just about you trying to recover it, you know. So I wouldn't just say that in the first place. Once again, chess game. But for this part of the situation, you did a good job, and you kinda. I just told you, yeah, let's do it, and potentially we're gonna hop on the call. You know what's the thing? The thing is that with these kinds of leads, where you're, I would say, trying to push them for a call, you cool with booking that call? Question mark. It's a very good chance that they won't even show up, you know. And that's why this entire approach with students, programs, clients, anything needs to be changed. B2C industry, once again, light-hearted approach. You need to match your prospects' vibes, you know. So if I'm not familiar, just be a lot simpler, you know. I'm not familiar with sales, I'm not familiar with remote closing. Obviously you are already a professional, so you don't have to even like say a lot more professionally than with B2B ones. And in my eyes, you're already an authority, and I'll listen to you whatever you say, because I already directly said I reached out to you because I wanted to hear some advice because you were living a really sick life, something like that. And like I've said, just make it a lot more simple. A lot simpler is what's gonna do the work, bro.
Okay.
Any questions about anything? Or any feedback at all?
No, actually, I think that what you said was like good. I agree with like almost everything of it.
Okay.
I think I agree with everything actually. Sometimes I think that we sent messages like at the same time, and maybe I couldn't fit in the question I wanted to fit in a few times.
Yeah, I understand. However, these sales fusions that I like to call it with me and you are not going to be this long, but for the first time I wanted to dive into that a lot deeper so we can just get used to these other ones that we're going to be having. Probably once per week also we're going to just gather, and instead of this we're just going to review all your existing messages and see how you implemented this what I told you today into those that are going to come up in the near future, bro.
Got it. So for the people that haven't had any prior experience with sales or don't know much about it, I should just be a lot more careful when like talking about clients or students or programs, right?
Yep, exactly that. And also, you just need to talk, I would say, in a more simple way, without these salesy things such as of course, clients, students, programs, all that, but also what do you feel that you need to do in order for you to do, those kinds of things. Instead, a lot more appropriate is just curious, just wondering, out of curiosity. That one that you said, actually, let me just find it. It was at the very beginning. What makes you feel that way? That was the very simple one and the most effective one, because remember, you need to make your prospects talk, not the other way around. You shouldn't be the one talking more, And that was the first one. And the second one is, what about a good paying job strikes your attention? You're literally just using like a chill vocabulary. You're talking like you would talk with one of your friends. That's my point. And that's what you need to do with these guys that are not too familiar with it. Because with those guys that are not too familiar with anything you're doing currently, you just need to build a better relationship in order for them to actually open up and hear what you actually have to say. Because it's obvious that you're a business owner. No person in the world would live such a good life if they're not a business owner, or if they're not involved in some big money spaces, And that's why you need to just be a lot more casual. Because once you do that, the prospects will realize that even though you're such a successful guy, you're also down to earth guys as well, and you're just a comfortable person to talk to, and ultimately a comfortable person to open up to. And from there, just fill it out with your solution, which is, in your case, you just need to book the call, but people will think that they're talking with Kyle.
Yeah. So before booking them in for a call, should I maybe frame it in a way that is going to make them realize that this will probably be a call for an investment?
Instead, I would just tie their goal with the call to action. Would you be open for a call so I can, or so we can talk about how you could reinstate their goal, But in this case, since you kind of got so everything went downhill once you mentioned clients and all that, it kind of felt, I would say, too red flaggish, You didn't tie. So actually, let me read it out loud here. You said,
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if I got seen, like left on scene.
That's the case, but obviously
Yeah.
I didn't want to go that far. I didn't want to go that far. So where is it? You mentioned where is it? Okay. You see, a lot of my clients come in initially with a really similar situation. They want to pay off their college debts a lot faster and make more money in order to support themselves with this. I could actually send over a booking link in order for me to explain further about how this works and see if I can help you at all. Like, instead, it just not feels natural. It just doesn't feel natural, Instead of I could actually send over a booking link in order for me to explain further, blah, 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 I would say, is it cool, or would you be open to hop on a quick call so we can, and then reinstate what I told you, so we can talk about how you could pay off your college a lot easier, you see? Because so far, that's the main thing.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about maybe switching it up a little bit when it comes to me asking you for a call, but I kind of got too tattooed onto the IG script of what I need to frame it, like how I need to frame it. But I switched it up a little bit, thinking that even that was gonna be something bad, because it was pretty long, and the way it was framed, it was a lot different to other guys, like other clients.
I get you. Like, transition points need to be as smooth as possible, and that's exactly why you need to reinstate what we actually talked about to your call to action. Call to action is call, and just to repeat back what I told you is the goal of currently, let's say, make more money to pay off for college a lot easier, because you see, that's so far what I revealed to you, my most important goal. And then from there, once you book the call, Kyle can obviously leverage the fact and make me realize that I wouldn't even need to be working that job. I'm like going to college for. And pretty much that's really straightforward. Main takeaways for you are, be a lot simpler and be more genuine. start sounding less scripted in this case, because the script is once again just for you to have an idea on where to go next from every point in the convo. But obviously every single lead is just different in a way. For example, I was just a Croatian guy making, I don't know, 700 a month part-time by being a cashier, and you obviously need to have completely different approach compared to someone from United States that's making 3K a month while working full-time in a restaurant, you know. So it's just how it is.
Yeah, yeah, I agree on that. Everyone has to be personalized, I guess.
Yep.
So
exactly that.
yeah. Would you actually be able to like send that note over?
Yes,
for me
of
to
course,
see?
of
Yeah.
course. I will do that, and also since the call is very long and the recording is going to be very long, I'm just going to cut it all out. And
Yeah. You'll have to edit a little bit, man.
yeah. Thanks for your time, bro. And if you have any questions, just let me know, and we'll talk soon. Start sending screenshots again, and we're gonna go from there.
Okay, for sure, man. I have
Cheers,
some
bro.
leads on the way.
Cheers.
Cheers.